mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Fight Against Mediocrity podcast. Today's guest is one of my really good friends, someone I look up to a lot. His name's Braven Grant. He owns the supplement company Gains in Bulk. He's spoken at Funnel Hacking Live. He's how old are you? 25, 26?
25,
No?
yeah.
25, done 8 figures. He's only 25 years old. He has 10,000 people on his subscription in his company, which we're going to talk about, but super excited. Welcome, Braven.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm super stoked to hang out, and we always have good combos, and I'm like, we should have recorded that. So hopefully we'll drop some bombs. Also, as of yesterday morning, we're at 12,000 subscribers. So little correction. No, but yeah, excited to be on.
What's nothing's off limits, right? I can ask anything. Can I ask numbers and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't want to tell you, I just won't. But
is the subscriptions what, like $27 a month or $37 a month?
It's $33 plus shipping. So I think the average order value is about 42, like 42.15 or something.
I'm gonna sign up for it right after this.
Yeah, I can't believe you're not already. I mean, I'll send you free product or whatever too. But anyway,
Lauren's more religious actually than I am in taking the 1 scoop a day, no matter what. So
yeah.
But we're almost out, so that's why I say we need to get on it. Anyway, so dude, real quick, your story is one of my favorites of all time. Because you literally worked so hard at it. So tell us, my favorite part is when you're like in high school and everyone else is, listening to music on the bus or whatever, and you literally bring a bag of books on the bus because you're like, I'm gonna make this business thing happen. So how did you get started in all of this?
Yeah, so man, I mean, we started the company when I was 17. Me and my brother, we started going to like fitness expos and stuff. And to be 100% honest, like the more marketing way of saying we started the company is like that we were unsatisfied with what was in the market, and we wanted to like fill a hole. And that is partially true. Like we were unimpressed with just how synthetic the market was. But probably the greater motivator was like, we were just seeing all these guys like Steve Cook and Jeremy Buendia and Ryan Terry. And like, these were kind of like the big names in the fitness, world back then. And we'd go to the expos and we were just like, we want to be a part of this. Like, I remember going to an Optimum Nutrition booth. It was like 2 stories. I was like 15. They had like 10 different athletes there. They had like all these like, models, and it was like crazy. And there's like a DJ on the top floor of this booth, and I was like, this is so sick, like I want to be a part of this. So anyway, we kind of wanted to start it for to be a part of the community. And my dad had been manufacturing supplements and stuff for a long time, so we just started with a ton of his help and buying raw ingredients from him from his manufacturing, and getting kind of the economies of scale there, and going to expos and selling the ingredients, in bulk to people. So that was why we called it Gains in Bulk back then. And yeah, that was like how we started. It was just literally going to expos, selling stuff one by one. The first 5,000 orders, I probably talked to every single one of those customers individually. So that was like the start of the company. And then I kind of view it like we had a second start, which was after I got home from serving a mission. The company had kind of been hanging out. Like, there wasn't anyone like really pushing it or anything. And so kind of just stayed with some retention customers that we had built up. And then I got into college, got married, and was like, oh shoot, we really got to like figure this thing out. And so I think that's kind of like the reference you made of reading books on the bus. I was playing college basketball, and I would just like go on our road trips, and I had like 4 or 5 books that I would just be reading at once. Like, some of those that were huge that I still like recommend. It's like Ready, Fire, Aim, super great book, especially starting out. Ask by, I think, like Ryan Levesque, all .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, all of those, Russell Brunson. Like, anyways, tons of copywriting books. I read like 10 books, like just about copywriting. And anyway, that was like how I got into it, and was just like reading these books. I was the only married guy on the team. I was kind of the only white guy on the team. So it was like, I was just kind of like the outsider in a way. And so I just read and was learning, trying to make the most out of the time.
And did it take off right away? What did that look like? So you're learning
No,
a lot. Did you become a millionaire overnight?
no, it's funny. I actually like I've built a pretty good relationship. I'm pretty good friends with Russell Brunson at this point. And I was telling him a few months ago, like I had gotten to the point where I'd signed up for one of his coaching programs. I was read all his books multiple times. I'd been through every single course and like took notes. And I still have like all the printouts from the courses where I was just like filling it out exactly, because he would say like, if you do it exactly, you know, like step by step, pause the video, go through it, you know, like this is going to work for you. And I told him like a couple months ago, I'm like, there was this point where I was truly convinced that like you were a scammer. The whole internet marketing thing was a scam. It was too late. It wouldn't work for our product. We were too late to the Facebook game. We were too late to the funnel game. Like all of these things that I truly started to believe because it wasn't working. And, you know, we had spent like 8 or 9 months, building funnels, trying to figure it out. And for like 8 or 9 months, I'd write every single day. I write my goals every day. And the goal was do $10,000 online, like through a funnel. And that was the goal. And it took like 8 months to finally hit that. But then, you know, we figured it out, and it took like 2 weeks to get to our 100,000 from that point. So
Dang, dude. I love that story. One day they're gonna make a documentary about that, so you better have a bunch of pictures and letters.
and
And
I'm not like the best documenter. So I'm like, I always think that I'm like, oh, I need to take more videos of the journey, but
at least take like, so sometimes I take quite a, I shouldn't say a lot of videos, but every once in a while I'm like, I'm having a pivotal idea. I'm just gonna record this. I'm not gonna post it, but just record it.
I definitely need to do that. That's valuable.
I mean, we've talked about being on social media, being that attractive character. It's cool how I mean, you are the attractive character, but not in the sense of how most businesses have an attractive character, right? Like you aren't posting every day on your stuff. You guys truly have built what you have in a unique way, I feel like. So anyways, I'm sure everyone listening is like, Braven, take more videos, but it's gonna be such a cool it's gonna be such a cool
Yeah.
documentary. So one thing that me and you have talked about a lot is the chasm. And you go through it. There's not like one chasm. There's a lot of chasms.
Yes.
But you just described one that you went through for 9 months, and you're like, Russell's lying to me. It's a scam, whatever. And most people quit.
Yeah,
So
most
explain to
people do
us
quit.
what that chasm is and why you kept going.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it up. I love talking about this. So yeah, I call it Crossing the Chasm because there's a book called Crossing the Chasm. That's a tech book that basically has nothing to do with this. But anyway, I just think it's cool wording. So yeah, it's like this idea that you can look up. I think it's called the emotional or the stages of emotional change, or the emotional stages of change. And every time, you know, a new opportunity comes around, there's this first stage, which they call uninformed optimism, right? And that was like me reading .com secrets for the first time, or watching the Russell Brunson webinar going, oh my gosh, if I figure this out, I'm going to be a millionaire. My life's going to, you know, change forever. It's so easy. I just have to figure out how to like build a website, send people to it, they'll buy, and like, I'll be a millionaire. And, you know, which is true in a way, but there's just so much more involved with it. So you have this uninformed optimism. You don't know everything that's on the back end. You don't know what fulfillment's like, and inventory, and trying to like get money for supply chain, and building a team, and orders, and customer service, and what happens when you mess stuff up, or like, there's just so much behind it. But you have this uninformed optimism because you don't know those things exist. And so you jump in, you're stoked out of your mind. And then, you know, you're going down the path, and you get to this point where you start to get informed pessimism, which is like, oh my gosh, you know, there's all these things that I do now know I'm informed about that suck, right? Like, like you just, you know, like I just said in my story, like, dude, these funnels aren't working. It's not just as easy as, you know, click the buttons, like whatever.
And it's not you, right? It's not me. It's everything
Yeah.
else that making this so hard. And the grass is greener. Yeah.
That's a good point, is like, it's always, you know, that you're in that space, because sometimes I am like, okay, well, is the opportunity bad or good? Like, you do have to make judgment calls. And I think you can probably know if it's more you being in this cycle, if you're blaming other people, right? If you're being a victim, and also other people are succeeding doing it. So it's like, okay, somehow that guy's succeeding, I'm not, but I want to blame Russell Brunson, or I want to blame, that Facebook doesn't work like it used to. And, oh my goodness, if I could go back to those days on Facebook today, I would literally pay millions of dollars to do it. But anyway, so it's all, you hit this informed pessimism, which starts to create stories in your mind, and you get to, the bottom of essentially the chasm. And at the bottom of the chasm, a chasm's like you visualize like a canyon. And at the bottom of the chasm, you hit what, the thing calls crisis of meaning. And the crisis of meaning is like, oh my goodness, why am I even doing this? Should I even be doing this? In fitness, it looks like this. You decide to do a cut, and you get 3 weeks in and you go, you know what? I actually think I should be doing a bulk. Like you question the whole meaning of why you even started, right? And oh my goodness, should I even be in business? Should I even be doing a fitness company? Should I even, like, you start questioning the whole thing.
Does money even matter?
Yeah. Am I too focused on money? Is Jesus okay with this? Like, you just literally, like, it's crazy the stories you can start to tell in your own head. And you have that crisis of meaning, and you have what I call perceived failure. Every one of these charts is a little different, but I call it perceived failure because you start thinking that failure is imminent. It's just a story, like it's perceived that way, but it's not necessarily true, because you're viewing, like, if I keep going at this rate, right? I spent 8 months, 9 months building funnels, making less than $10,000 through them. So it's like, at that rate, I was going to fail for sure. And so you're perceiving failure as imminent, even though you can't see across the chasm, which is that, there's potential success over there. And so you perceive failure, and what happens is another opportunity comes about, and you all of a sudden get that giddy feeling again. And it's like uninformed optimism. And you learn about Amazon drop shipping, or you learn about, this other pest control company you can sell for, or you learn about whoever else has the
basically
next
anything else.
Yeah. It could be something that's actually not even a good opportunity. Like, it would be nice to just work at McDonald's and not have to think about any of this. Like, at least I could just go home at night and life would be good.
That's real, dude. Yeah.
Right. And so you literally start telling yourself a new story, which is, if I was just doing that, then I would be happy, which is usually the story. And most people leave and go back to the next opportunity. And that's why most people fail and never get anywhere in life, is because they live their life going from new opportunity to new opportunity, never crossing the chasms of life. Most people never cross the chasms. And then you build a habit of not crossing the chasms, and you train your mind to get to that crisis of meaning. And you train yourself to say, yeah, this is my off ramp. This is the moment I get out. Same thing happens in marriages, and why, whatever the percentage is now, like freaking 60% of marriages fail, because you have the crisis of meaning. You go, oh my gosh, did I ever even want to marry this person? Was I ever in love with this person? Which is crazy, because there was a point where you were willing to sacrifice everything, right? You were just like so in love. So you question everything, and you usually get off on the next off ramp, which in that case, the new opportunity would be an affair or some other person in your office or whatever. And you never cross the chasm. But if you cross the chasm, you get to the other side, which is informed optimism. You start to realize, oh, I can figure this out. Oh, there's like a learning curve, but then there's exponential growth potential. And you start going, and then that's where achievement comes. And then the thing is too, though, after you get to achievement, again, like you said, there's just another chasm up there. It's like you get to $1 million and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then you realize, like, making $1 million actually isn't that cool. And there's still a lot of problems and whatever. And then, you question everything all over again. And then, it's just like the game goes on. So,
yeah, this is, literally the most important concept and nuance any entrepreneur needs to understand is this. Like, if there's one concept, it's this.
Yeah.
because if you understand this, you'll keep going, which
Yep.
is really the entire reason a business succeeds, is because someone just kept going.
Mm-hmm. And
Thing.
and it's so hard to see in the beginning the impact of continuing on. You know, like we're at the point where we've spent so much money advertising instantized creatine that we've created like a new market of creatine. Like there's new products around creatine that are popping up, of gummies and of this and of that, that did not exist 4 years ago. And like there's so much momentum that starts flowing behind that, and like so much conversation around creatine. It's like a lot spurred by the fact that we've been nagging the world around creatine for years now. And I can't imagine in 5 or 10 years I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I thought we had done a lot of marketing then, like look where we're at now. So it just, there's so much multiplicative things that you can't see that come as you stay in the game. And if you quit, you don't get to see any of those benefits. You don't get to see any of the reward of all that time. So yeah, it's huge. I mean, I just texted you like a couple weeks ago and was like, dude, congrats, like you crossed the chasm. Like you should tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a podcast about you, but basically the first year of my business, Fight Against Mediocrity, I knew how to sell. And so I just came into it with this naivety of all you need to do is sell. Like, this is so easy. All you need to do is just get on a phone call with someone and sell them, and, or get on stage and sell them. And that worked. And then, about a year and a few months, stuff started breaking a little bit. I'm like, uh-oh, like what's going on? Like, and more than anything,
What were some of the, I'm curious, what were some of those things that you felt like were coming down on you that you didn't realize going into it?
I think one of the biggest thing is client experience and
Mm-hmm.
understanding just industry norms for what a client goes through and what they're thinking and how to provide the best experience for them.
Yeah, because they're going through their own chasms, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you
Yeah.
have to, you're like parenting that, or coaching, it's probably the right word, coaching them through their own chasms, which is like a whole, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, and so there's that side of it. And then it's just as a business owner, everyone around you, your clients, your team members will only believe in the opportunity and the product as much as the owner believes in it. So like if they sense that you were lacking belief in instantized creatine, even a little bit,
Yeah.
they'd be like, oh man, should we really be pushing this so hard? Like I really want to package
Yeah.
another order, you know what I mean? But as long as your belief is high. And so when stuff started breaking a little bit, and I had several people try to run ads for me, and it didn't work as well as it wanted to, and it actually brought in the wrong type of customer, and then you have to deal with problems that way. And then I thought, oh, this is so funny to say, but a year in, I thought, oh, this product is tapped out. Like I need to create a new product. So I created a new product, and so it's just a new business owner problems, like not staying focused, not being highly motivated, not realizing that like marketing isn't just hiring someone who says they know how to run ads and build a funnel and you're going to get customers right away. And so the problem was for me is my belief started to go down a little bit. And then I've realized that business is like, some people say 80, some people say 95% mindset. And which goes back to the chasm, right? Just the mindset of I'm not going to quit. And so getting through that for 6 months, it was really tough getting through that chasm and seeing the green grass everywhere else. Like the grass is so green when you're seeing the manure in your lawn.
Yeah.
And like when you said, it'd be easier just to go work at McDonald's, but then I can just leave all my problems there. Like that's so funny, but for a business owner, that's so real.
Oh yeah.
When Russell Brunson says in .com Secrets, like I wish I could fire myself. Like that's so real. So anyways, getting through it. And, when you get through one of the chasms, it's like a new fire's lit inside of you, and there's clarity, and, but it's tough. And, don't wish it upon anybody, but you got to go through them. So
Yeah. And the funny thing too is it's like when you like gorge yourself on food and you have that feeling of like, I'm never going to eat again. But then somehow like 4 hours later, you like are like, oh my gosh, I could eat 10 donuts right now. It's like you have that feeling almost of like, man, next time I'm going through something like that, I'm just going to know not to question it. And I'm just going to keep moving forward. But it's like, then you get back into one and it's like, oh, it feels just as helpless and hard. But you do start to train yourself, I think, to recognize it and say, okay, I'm probably going through a chasm. Like I love the visual of it because I can like visualize, okay, I'm going through this canyon, like I'm going through this chasm, this thing. And when I get to the other side, I have faith that there's something over there that I can't even imagine right now. And the more I've done it, the more faith I have that there's something over on that other side. And it's incredible. Like, and I've started to experience that the farther I get into this, the chasms are tougher, they're deeper, they're longer when they come, but the reward on the other side, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like it just blows my mind. And like we went through one, I went through a serious one like a year ago where I truly questioned like everything. We almost went under, like there was this huge creatine shortage in the world. We were having to like refund thousands. Like I did like a big pre-sale because I had to pay our employees. The creatine shortage like remained like for the literal ingredient itself. Like it was like all this crazy stuff. I had to fire like 12 people in 2 days and that sucked. And we live in a small town. There's only like 2,000 people in the town. So like 12 people, like, I don't know what the percentage is. It's like a decent amount of the workforce. Yeah. And so like I had people in our town, like who knew me growing up, like messaging me, telling me I was like a terrible human. And like, it was just crazy. And I just thought like, you know what, I could go sell and make more money than I'm making now personally. Like I could probably go sell solar again or whatever. And just all these questions in my head. And it was like, we also, anyway, we lost $200,000 that somehow got stuck in an Amazon account that we didn't know. It was just like this like whole thing, dude. And anyway, so, but on the other side of that was, you know, we've had 10x the profit this year than we had last year. Like if I would have quit right there, I wouldn't have got to reap all the benefits that we got this year. And you grow and grow and grow. And every time you get to one of those, like if you can remind yourself, like there's something on the other side of this that's so good, I can't even picture it yet. It just somehow gets you to keep going and get to see that reward that is over on the other side. So
yeah, and I agree. And I'm curious, I know why I keep going, but through those first couple of chasms for you, why do you keep going?
I actually have had this experience a few times where I've been praying and like pleading, like to the point of like, what am I doing, God? Like in business, but also like even in my marriage, I've had a few moments like that. Like, is this the right thing? What am I doing with my life? Like Heavenly Father, like help me figure this out. And I had one actually, the first time that this happened, this specific answer was I was questioning whether I should be trying to make money. It was towards the beginning. I was considering actually being a seminary teacher. I was a student seminary teacher and I was in that like process of becoming a full-time seminary teacher. And I was running this business and I felt like they were at odds. Like I was going to have to choose. And I felt so conflicted over it. And I remember feeling like being the seminary teacher wasn't the right thing for me. But then I had all this guilt around trying to go and make a bunch of money. So I was like praying about it. I was talking to my wife, like, yeah, like I have this like guilt and stuff. And I remember I was praying like that prayer of like, God, what in the heck do I do? Like, I feel lost. And the answer I got was literally like, felt like God was like, well, what the heck else are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to fill your time with every day, Braven? Like, is the alternative be average? Like, is the alternative to be lazy? Like, is the alternative to do nothing? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm questioning everything, but it's not like I have some other solution. And I feel like God often gives me that answer. I go, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? I have that crisis of meaning, you know? And God's like, well, Braven, what else the heck are you gonna do? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Let's just keep going, right? Like I'm freaking out over nothing is almost what I end up coming out of those prayers feeling, is like God reminds me like you're doing something that's good, like that's good for the world, that's good for your family, that's good for your employees, it's good. Like, what else are you going to do? And I almost feel like he's like, I'll tell you what to do if I want you to do something else. I'm not going to just like freak you out and send you off in a tailspin to just go do nothing. I'll tell you what's next if there's something that's next. So that's, I think, what kind of got me through, especially in the beginning. And I just also, as weird as it is, like I would just visualize and write my goals and just hold on to whatever faith I could find to believe that it would work. And whatever anyone believes about all that stuff, like for me, it was crucial to create faith that didn't exist. I had never made $1 million. So how could I have faith in $1 million? The only way for me was to repeat it to myself every single day in the shower. I have like laminated, I always have one, goals on the shower wall, and things like weird stuff like that some people say, you don't need that. You know, I know Alex Ramosi says, like, you don't build confidence by shouting affirmations in the mirror. You build it by building a stack of undeniable evidence or whatever. I'm like, true. But when you don't have a stack of undeniable evidence to make $1 million, how do you get it? You convince yourself.
You convince yourself.
And you'll never be fully convinced until the millions is sitting in your hand. But like, you just hold on to like as small of amount of faith as you can muster up, you know, by doing all those weird little things.
Yeah. No, it's in Hebrews, right? Faith is the knowledge of things which are not seen, which are true.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
or hope for but not seen, or something like that.
Seen. Yeah. Bro. Yes, 1000%. For me, similar experiences. I don't think there's, I don't know. I don't know if there's very many things that will bring you closer to God than being an entrepreneur. Like, I just don't, because you're relying so heavily on him to guide you and direct you and give you inspiration for when you need it and know what to do. Like, I don't know how people go through entrepreneurship without that partner and God to be able to pray and receive that, like, hey, keep going, you got this. Like, those just like little things along the way they keep you going. I remember when I first started, 4 months in, so funny to look like 4 months. 4 months is nothing. 4 months in, I was like, same thing, man, should I really be teaching people about sales? Like, does it really matter? Like, does money really matter? Whatever. And then I got to the gym one morning, and a guy that's never talked to me before comes up and he's like, hey, you're always here super early. Like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I just finished a book and doing this stuff. He's like, you changed my life. I was like, what do you mean I changed your life? He's like, well, not you, but someone gave me a Jim Rohn book once when I was about to get a divorce. My life was in a bad spot. I wasn't connected with God, and that changed my life. And it sounds like you're doing something similar. So like, keep going. And I'd been praying so much to like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And I left the gym like in tears. Okay, I'll keep going. But
that's awesome. And it's, you know, money isn't the end all be all. But it sure helps, and it provides a lot of opportunities. I had a friend text me a little while ago, like 2 weeks ago, and he literally, the text said, do you think money buys happiness? And, you know, it's a complex question. I don't think it's a yes or no answer, but I thought about, you know, all of the opportunities that money's provided my family and my marriage to grow closer together. You know, we lived in Hawaii for 3 months earlier this year. We just were at Disneyland. We went to Disneyland like 2 months ago as a family, and got to just be fully focused on our son and just have an amazing time with him. And I didn't have to be stressed about other things, or like, not that those things in and of themselves are going to make you happy, but if you're choosing to be happy and you're trying to find ways to be happy, it's going to provide more opportunities, and it removes a lot of like stresses. And also it just gives you the opportunity to help people. Like just this last week at the Natural Olympia, I got to give someone a check for $10,000. Like, we did this drawing from all the winners, all the categories. And I actually had my son Heber like draw the name out of the like 10 names, and got to give this guy a $10,000 check, which $10,000 is not like this insane amount, but this guy like just like breaks down crying, and afterwards he was telling me how it's been a tough year for them and the economy and like just certain things that were going on in his life, and how that 10 grand made like a meaningful impact for him and his family and going into the holiday season and Christmas and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like a year ago, I wasn't able to give a $10,000 check. It was only 5,000 because we weren't doing as good like as a company as we are now. And now I'm like, dang, I should have given 20,000. It's like, it gives you opportunities that you just can't really have otherwise. And so anyway, that was a tangent on the money buys happiness, or is it an important thing? But it gives you a lot of opportunities in life. That's for sure. Yeah,
no, I agree. And we could go on that for a little bit, but, oh man, we're running out of time, but this is so good. So, if you guys that are listening want Braven to come back for round 2, leave a comment and we'll bring him back. Do it.
We should do like a post Black Friday episode where we just like, I'll just share everything we did. It'll be crazy.
No, yeah, that would actually be super fun. Let's do it. And we'll chop it up for you so you can put it on your Instagram so you can start posting some content.
Yeah.
So on goal setting real quick. So I wrote down, I've been journaling a lot after I read 10X's. I've been listening to Dr. Benjamin Hardy a lot. Mm-hmm. And he talks about journaling in the morning because that's when your mind is, whatever.
This book.
So I've just been carrying a journal with me when I go to the gym, and I'll write some notes. And I wrote very similar to what you said. Goals are only accomplished for when these 3 things are true. Number 1, you get super clear on what the outcome looks like, feels like, sounds like, etc. Like super clear. Number 2 is I must believe that I can do it with a deep desire that pushes me into action. If the goal is a nice to have, it will never happen. Mm-hmm. And number 3 is a system in place to keep me accountable and on track. And I wanted to ask you about number 2 specifically. I don't think most people are very clear on their goals, first of all. So like,
yeah, I say this all the time is, do you know the number 1 reason people don't get what they want?
They don't know what they want.
They don't know what they want. I don't know if I've ever said that to you or not, but you just knew. They don't know what they want. It's like everyone will tell you like, oh, I don't have what I want in life. I don't get what I want in life. I'm like, oh, what do you want? Or like I'll have employees come and complain to me about their pay. I'm like, oh, so like, what do you want? Oh, well, like more. I'm like 20, you want 10 cents an hour? Like what? Like, anyway, so 100% agree. Clarity on what you want is very important.
No, I mean, it's in the same thing when I get on sales calls with people who are entrepreneurs. I'm like I want to make more money and have freedom. I'm like, okay, what's that number? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, how much do you need to make that happen? Like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, well, that's hard number 1. Like, I'm going to hang up right now and then let's hop back on when you know it. So number 2, specifically belief, because until you like, if someone wants to get in shape, but they don't believe that they can get in shape, it's just not going to happen. So how important it is for it to truly believe that you can do it, and how do you help yourself believe that it's possible?
I think it's crucial. And I think that I've heard people say that for so long. And I used to get stuck on that. Like, well, what if I don't believe it's possible? Right. Like, so right now it's like, my bigger vision is, okay, I want to have $100 million company. I would say like, there's a big part of me that does not believe that I can do that. Like just being blatantly obvious, like, or honest about it. So, okay. So what do you do to combat that? Well, like, Think and Grow Rich, the basics of all self-development. He talks about it, and I can't remember the exact quote, but he basically says, you do this auto suggestion is what he calls it, auto suggestion, and you use that to convince yourself like that's how faith is built. And so to me, that's it. Like, you're probably not going to 100% know for a fact, because you kind of can't until it's there in front of you. That's why it's called faith. Like, the faith means there has to be some sort of gap between like
Yeah.
fact, which is knowledge, and then like faith, which is a hope for something. It's a hope. So to me, it's like, I think people get a little too stuck on that, thinking like, oh, like I have to believe that it's possible, but I don't believe it's possible, so I'm just not going to do anything. It's like, no, just write it down and then do whatever for you makes it more real. So to me, writing it down every day is really helpful. The biggest thing I think for me that helps me build belief in it is visualizing already having it and being grateful for it. So like a big one for me this year was getting my family a new house. And I would visualize me and my wife and our kid, and our second kid that's on the way, in the home, enjoying a moment together. And like I would get the feelings of gratitude, get the excitement, the energy of like showing up. I would like visualize myself pulling into the garage in my nice truck and like all of these things to create that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I have this. And I think to me, that's the way that you create belief in it, because you're not going to start out with it. Like you're not just going to, like, I think some people think that I have that. Like people will tell me that. My wife will tell me that. Oh, you're just such a believing person. You have so much faith. Like you're such a dreamer. And it's like, I created that. That was not God given. It like in a way, but like it was a choice to become that way. And I still have to do it at every step and every stage that's bigger than where I'm currently at. Because I've never owned $100 million company. So that to me is the path. You have to create the belief. It's not just going to like show up on your doorstep. God's never going to come in a vision, or not. I don't want to say never. Unlikely. God's going to come in a vision and tell you exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And even if he told you what he sees for you, he wouldn't tell you exactly how to get it or the exact roadmap or steps. Like there's going to be a gap, and you're going to have faith and create faith by visualization, auto suggestion, whatever, shouting at affirmations in the mirror, unfortunately, to create some of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think knowing that, so I learned this in reading 10x is easier than 2x. Looking back and saying, at one point, I didn't think where I'm at right now was possible,
100%.
But I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this person that I know isn't any smarter than me, did it.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't I do it? But
that's a big one. Like that, getting around other people who have done it, that'll piss you off for greatness. I love that you say that. I think like a couple weeks ago, you had sent me #POFG and I had forgotten what it meant. And I was like, wait, what is it? How does he say it again? Anyway, ever since you texted me that, I've been like screaming it in the gym every day. And I'm like, I love that, because there's this place in Arizona called the Pecans, and they're like minimum like $3 or $4 million homes, but it's like some are like way, way more than that. They're just like, it's like this beautiful area. And I'm like, we drove through there when we were looking for houses. And I was like, I am pissed off that I can't live in here yet. Like, truly, this is upsetting to me. Like, I don't want to feel jealous of these people. I want to just feel excited for them and happy for them. And the fact that I have like a little bit of jealousy in my heart over this, I'm like, it pisses me off. And that should like inspire you to realize like, there's no way that guy is $4 million better than me, And it's like, so I do think that's a really big one. Is you got to get around people who have done it or are doing it or have that life that you want, marriage you want, spirituality you want. And that will definitely strengthen your belief that it's possible. And it'll also make you realize you're not showing up at the level you could, and hopefully piss you off a little bit for some greatness.
Yeah. Mitch Matthew calls it goal touching as well. So like, being around, being in, go test drive that car, go for that house or whatever. I get pissed. My POFG moment is whenever I have to go fly somewhere and like sitting around, or like Stanford is like in with me and Lauren. I'm like, this is so stupid. I freaking need a private jet. Like, I get pissed.
Yeah, we just went to Disneyland and we've done like the VIP tours before, where you have like a private tour guide. It takes you around and anyway, we didn't do that. And it's like 10 grand to do it. And we didn't do that.
Per person or for
the group?
Oh,
that's honestly not, people.
That's not horrible.
Oh, it's not crazy, right? Anyway. So it's 10 grand. We didn't do it. And there's the hotel that's like right on Disneyland, like campus, like the Grand California. You can literally walk from the hotel into the park. And after we were leaving at night, I got like, I asked my family to pick us up in front of that hotel so we could just walk through there rather than getting in like the tram and all that. Anyway, and I walked in and I was like, why am I not providing this experience for my family? Why are we not staying in this hotel, getting the VIP thing? Like, why am I making life harder by not spending money or making enough money? So anyway, like totally, I 100% agree. Like, yeah, flying not first class in the back of Southwest airplanes, waiting in line, dealing with a crazy toddler in that environment, like those types of things, like, let them excite you for a life without those. And not even like, okay, these are such first world problems, but it's like, you can remove them though. And like, we should just get excited to remove them and have better, like more meaningful experiences that are less focused on all the minutia of having to go to the airport and go through TSA and all that. So anyway, I agree with that I hate flying. So
yeah, no, I hear it. One day, dude, I know it'll happen. Man, I got a whole list of pitches here, but we're up on time, so maybe I'll just do two more, one more, and then our
okay.
famous last question for the podcast. So, all of these are probably going to be too deep. I did want to ask about subscriptions. So, in your business, typically it's you got to market every month to get deals, right? As how it seems like it's been up until recently. And then not even a year ago, you had the realization or the idea from wherever you got it, Russell, and you're like, oh, we need to start a subscription. And then 12,000 subscriptions later, you're freaking crushing it. So what have you learned? How did you do it? Other businesses, how can they apply what you're doing into their business?
What I have learned, I was like adamantly against the subscription model. I'll say that. I thought it was like scammy. I thought it was like, I kind of viewed it as a poor customer experience. Like I was just against it for a whole host of reasons. And I could not have been more wrong. It is, imagine this. Imagine you ever go stay at Airbnb and have to log into your Netflix account?
Yeah.
How annoying is that?
Yeah.
Like I just was staying at Airbnb this last week and had to log into our Netflix account at the freaking Airbnb so we could, put on, or it was Disney Plus, so we could watch Cars with our son. And I was like, this is so annoying. Now imagine every time you wanted to watch Netflix, you had to go and log in. How ridiculous would that be? You wouldn't even do it. Like, even though you wanted to watch Netflix, you just probably would avoid it, which might be good for us, like as a productivity hack, but it would suck from a customer experience perspective. That's what we're making our customers do when we're not setting up subscriptions. Like that's the experience we're delivering. Like, how ridiculous would that be? How annoying would it be if Google didn't have autofill passwords or your iPhone didn't have autofill passwords? Like all of those things, we're just adding friction to people's lives by not giving them that option. If they want to skip, they can skip. If they want to cancel, they can cancel. Like we're not forcing people in. We're just making it easier and less friction. And like, it's a true service to people's, like, that's one thing I've learned is, and I used to think too, the same thing I thought at the beginning of our journey is like, oh, I'm too late to the internet marketing game. I'm too late. Like there's too many supplement companies. It's too saturated. It's too this, it's too that. It's like, oh, there's so many subscription companies at this point. It's like, no, the world is only going more that direction. Like the world wants more ease in their lives, not less. Like they want more, the less friction, not more. So anyway, that's one thing is everyone should be doing it. It's not too late. It's super early in all reality. Like that soon everyone's lives will just run on that. Like if it was too late, Amazon would not be tripling down on subscription. And if it was a bad customer experience, Amazon would not have subscription auto selected. Like I could rage at a couple of conversations I've had with other brand owners recently who are like, no, it's a bad, and I'm like, dude, you were screwing yourself by not being focused on subscription. So that's where I stand on it at this point, going from someone a year ago who was like, when Russell first brought it up and I was telling me about it, like it took me a little bit actually. Like I tell the story, like it was like the next day I switched to full focus on subscription. It was probably like a month of like back and forth in my mind and stuff to where I fully committed. So I wish I would have been focused on subscription 4 years ago. Like I would probably have multiple millions more dollars like in my bank accounts had I done that. So it's just anyway, it's just so big. And so that's the first part is what like I just advocate for subscription.
Oh, yeah. I can
I
feel
think,
it.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox, but I think you also asked like suggestions or
Yeah. How can other people do it in their business?
so I would say figure it out because everyone's gonna be like, well, it doesn't apply to my business or whatever. Just figure out how it does apply. Like there's someone doing it. My dad does one-on-one concierge health stuff, and he just started working. I guess maybe I can't say the name of that guy. Anyway, a guy who does a subscription around meat and like sending a meat box to people's houses every month. So like there's just so many different things you can do. Every business should have recurring revenue in it. And I would just say, make it the easiest choice. Rather than necessarily adding tons of stuff, just make it the easiest choice. We do also like we have an incredible offer. Like if you sign up for a subscription, you get like the free welcome kit and all that stuff. So like we have bonus stuff there, but we also just make it the easiest, least friction option. It's the lowest cost. We provide certified trainers 12 hours a day for support for you. Like if you're on subscription, like we just make it the easiest option. And so I would just say, like, if you have non-subscription options, just make the subscription one seem like the easiest one, the one that everyone else is a part of, and provide a better experience. Like just provide a great experience. And, you'll always have people who cancel. That's okay. Don't take it personally. I had someone say like our cancel rate is like 15%, which is actually really good in the industry.
Yeah, that is really good.
But I had someone basically be like, yeah, but like we were getting like 20% of people canceling. I was like, okay, if someone orders not on subscription, what percentage orders the next month? And it was like, looked in their account, it was like 10%. I'm like, so you actually have a 90% cancel rate when you don't do subscription, right? So it's just, I think sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, there's people canceling, or like it makes us like feel offended as business owners. But I would say if you aren't focused on subscription, I would almost be willing to like full promise you, if you full commit to turning everything to a reoccurring revenue model, within a year, your life will be completely different. My life just I don't know. It's just absurd. Our profit has gone up literally 100x in the last 12 months. Like our net profit numbers are 100x to this last month, what they were in January of the same year. So that's the compounding of a subscription, delivering a great product, serving the customers. And anyway.
Well, that is really cool. You mentioned, they literally have someone full-time support nutritionist, you said?
Yeah. Certified trainer and nutritionist. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, the value that you can provide that way. And not even to mention the added value to your company, right? When an investor comes in and looks at it and is like, oh, the recurring revenue, like you probably, 100x your, maybe not that
my
much,
net worth.
a lot.
It's
Yeah,
way higher. 100%. Yeah. Your non-subscription revenue is going to be worth like 2 to 4x, maybe EBITDA. Subscription revenues 10 to 12x EBITDA. Yeah. So and that's like on the low end, to be honest. So it's absolutely what everyone should be focused on, in my opinion. But
dude, mic drop. Well, we didn't even get into like really, so we like scratch the surface of subscriptions, because I wanted to talk about the offer. We didn't get into like balance with family and work. I want to talk about like, I'm on this truth kick. So I want to talk about like what truth is and what that means.
TTFT. It's one of our core values.
What does that stand for?
I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on your podcast. It stands for,
well, you texted to me.
The effing truth.
Okay.
Or in the PG version is tell the full truth. But yeah, cool. Anyways, it's one of our core
values. Chat about that. We didn't get to talk about the picture of Jesus in the background. I want to talk about that. We didn't get to talk about the text that you sent me like a month ago when you broke down like how you make your products different. So dude, we got to do another podcast. But last question is, what does the fight against mediocrity mean to you?
Dude, it's literally like what God told me of, like, what else are you going to do in this world? Like, he did not make us to be mediocre or average. And to me, the fight against it is like one with ourselves, but also like for the world. Like Like it is a fight, because I would say the world is fighting for mediocrity. The world is fighting for it to be acceptable to be fat, to be lazy, to I just saw an article that was like, employers need to start understanding that 46 million Americans have like substance abuse, and they need to start like changing their like structures for allowing people to work for them, basically, if they have substance abuse. I will 100% fight with you, for you, and on your behalf if you're struggling with substance abuse. However, I'm not ever going to allow that to be the standard that's okay. It puts people's safety at risk. It puts your own safety at risk. Like, My point is, the world is fighting for mediocrity to be okay. And I love your mission and the fight against mediocrity. And I stand behind it, because I think that it's crucial that we don't allow that to become the standard. Yeah, that's what it means to me.
Amen. Rock and roll, dude. Okay. This has been awesome. Thanks so much, Braven.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what?